Hello, this is Mr. Wernick. I'm here to talk to you about Lesson 3-4, or the fourth lesson from Chapter 3. We should have had a mid-chapter quiz at this point. Coming back from that, we're looking at equations of lines. Again, it relates back to stuff that you did in algebra. So while this isn't necessarily an algebra review, we're going to be applying some concepts of geometry. The only stuff that I'm going to really explain is, of course, the algebraic stuff over again. Slope-intercept formula line is probably what you're most used to. It's y is equal to mx plus b. That's how we signify that form. That's kind of the name we give it, mx plus b form. The m is your slope, the b is your y-intercept. They're in that order all the time, so that's why they call that slope-intercept form. You probably are familiar with standard form. Standard form we don't use as much. That's the ax plus by is equal to c. You can, of course, look that stuff up. I have some Algebra 1 videos that are over the same kind of thing if you need help moving from one to the other. Now, the new one that they're going to try to push on you this year is point slope. In the book, which I still want you to take down in your notes, it's y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. I like to think of it as y minus k is equal to a times x minus h, because that way you get those same letters that you're going to be using hopefully in Algebra 2. The A, the H, and the K. And the A is a value that's similar to slope, but it's you can use that same letter to indicate some steepness, some narrowness in absolute value and quadratic and quartic type equations. The H and the K, in this case, HK is usually a center point for a graph, so it would be like the vertex form of a quadratic equation if we had h and k. Since it's a line, there is no center point. There's no vertex there that we have to worry about. So we can label this as any point on the line. I just like these letters a lot better as the A, H, and K. Of course, when you're working on your own, you can work them as either. A couple more lines that you're going to be dealing with, and they'll ask you to kind of convert and look at and tell me what it means. If you have a horizontal line is y is equal to a number. It has a slope of 0. You check the slope, you get nothing. On the vertical, in the book it's x equals a. I like to think of it as x equals c. On a vertical line, you have an undefined slope, but we can draw those still, and it's going to be a key part of dealing with some of the stuff that we are dealing with later on when we're trying to do some of this stuff again on a Cartesian coordinate system. If we have parallel lines, we've talked about parallel lines briefly before, the same slope, they contain the same slope. This n value here, or the a value over here would be exactly the same, but they have a different b, a different y-intercept. So if it's in point slope form, you're going to have to test those to make sure that they don't go through that exact same point, because if they go through the same point, they're not parallel. They have an infinite number of solutions because they're right on top of one another. It's like asking who's the older twin, but not accounting for minutes or seconds or anything like that. They were born on the same day, they're the same age, they're always going to be the same age. Perpendicular lines, I believe I've addressed in one of the previous videos, but just to kind of go back over that same information, it's the opposite reciprocal slope. So if we have a slope like 3/4, I'm going to make the reciprocal of that, which is 4/3, and make it negative. Sorry. Those will make it to where they intersect at a 90-degree angle. You can think of it kind of like the contrapositive. We have to change the location and make it negative. Okay? You can also, if you're into old school hip hop, you can listen to Missy Misdemeanor Elliott. She says, I put my thing down, flip it, and reverse it. In the song Worth It. You can look it up on YouTube. And if you put the slope down and then you flip it and reverse it by making it negative, that will give you a perpendicular slope. These can have the same y-intercept. It's not going to cause an issue because the slope is different. They're still only going to intersect that one time. You just have to be very careful on the parallel lines that they're not going to go through exactly the same place. This should get you through lesson 3, 4, and we'll see you in class.